Lost copy. Thanks for joining us. I'm here. This is Jason, and I'm joined this week by Mylan Pargold, aka Mac. Happy to have him here. We're going to cover King of New York this week, the Abel Ferrara Freak Fest with Christopher Walken, Lawrence Fishburne, David Caruso, Steve Buscemi, um, Giancarlo Esposito, and probably even forgetting more people than that.
Paul Calderon.
Yeah, Paul Calderon. There's so many people stuffed into this movie. Um, the basic premise, if you haven't seen it, is Christopher Walken plays Frank White. He's a gangster. He's getting out of jail. He's been out of the game for a minute. He's getting back into the game hard. Um, and and that's basically the movie. So I'll kick it over to Mac. I do want to add one bit of the opening scene is basically Christopher Walken walking out of jail, prison, escorted by two guards. He's in his prison blues, so all denim, his Canadian tuxedo, and he's walking out, and he's pretty solemn. He's not saying a word, and he's got his like shoulders kind of rolled over, and that's how he's walking out of prison. But now I'll throw it over to Mac to where it picks up after that.
Well, and told you before when he walks out of prison, he looks like he's Batman without the mask, you know. But anyway, King of New York. So when this movie came out in 1990, I was like 19 years old, but I was too busy watching Goodfellas like six times in the movie theater, you know. So I totally missed this, and and I was a huge Christopher Walken fan too, you know. The Dead Zone and the Deer Hunter, and there was another one. What's the one with Sean Penn? At
Oh,
Close
Close
Range.
Range.
Yeah. So usually Christopher Walken is on my radar, but I totally missed this movie, and I don't even remember it being in the theater, for very long, because I don't even like. I think it had a really low budget, and it still didn't make any money. And when it first came out, even the reviews were mixed. It didn't even really get like a lot of good reviews, and people were walking like when it was showed at the New York Film Festival, people were booing it. And then I think it was because of the violence.
The irony too of getting booed at the New York Film Festival being King of New York.
Right.
you know,
Right.
like they definitely
Right.
were voicing that. But yeah, I agree. Like it didn't have a good box office, um, and
And I
honestly, I
didn't know
think I think it was critically panned by most
a
prominent
lot. A lot
critics.
of critics did not like it. Some critics, they saw it and they could see the kind of the genius in it. Because I think this is to me this is Abel Ferrara's best movie.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and I didn't know who Abel Ferrara was until Bad Lieutenant came out. So when Bad Lieutenant came out, everyone started talking about Abel Ferrara, and then I think I saw this on video. I can't even remember when. I must have been in college, but I was like, "Holy shit! This is a classic Christopher Walken movie."
Oh,
And this is better than Bad Lieutenant. You know,
yeah. And I think like
it's a different movie though.
it yeah, it's way different. I mean, one, it's the violence is pretty garish and like hard, especially for that time. Like when this came out, this movie almost received an X or an NC-17. I don't know which one.
Right.
Um, but it was so violent, or at least, which is kind of funny in 2026, saying how violent this movie is because I can think of about 24 movies right off the top of my head right now that are way more violent than King of New York. But the
Well,
violence,
Goodfellas came out right around the same time, and that's just as violent, if not more.
oh yeah, yeah, and I mean, and you talk about like movies like Old Boy, and
Right.
there's like
Right.
a lot of like hyper violence there. But like I like um when this came out, it was shocking. That's why people were booing it, walking out. And like Lawrence Fishburne even told a story about going on stage somewhere and sitting in the audience and watching the audience like react poorly, and he was like, let's get out of here, man. Like,
Yeah.
we gotta
Right.
bug out." Um, but this movie is what I think has kind of like redeemed it over the years. Is it's like it's the blueprint. It's the blueprint
Absolutely.
to a lot of the modern gangster movies, and like, and you pointed that out, and I'll let you make that point now.
Well, I think it's significant because this is the first gangster movie, at least and someone can fact check me, but I believe this is the first gangster movie that had hip hop music in it. And and
Or
it kind of
featured
had
it.
a hip hop vibe,
Oh yeah, yeah.
especially with Lawrence Fishburne, his character, like there's never been a character like that in any gangster movie,
No,
you know.
no. And no, but you're right. And it wasn't just that it had hip hop playing in the background or like as like the soundtrack or whatever. Like it, the movie is hip hop, man. Like it is
Right.
very like it's got
I
its own
mean,
vibe. It's got its own
the
edge.
whole
That's
ending,
why that's why people were having a hard time relating to it because like hip hop wasn't a big like is in like entrenched in the culture as it is now.
right. Absolutely. It was, it wasn't very mainstream at all. I mean, you hardly heard hip hop music in any movie except for, like Breaking, you know,
Yep.
or,
Yeah, Beat
you
Street
know,
and Crush Groove and
right,
stuff.
right. So anyway, and this movie's also significant because it was the early parts for a lot of those actors that actually had went on and had great careers. You got Larry Fishburne, but Larry Fishburne was around forever. He was in Apocalypse Now when he was like 14 years old. But David Caruso, Paul Calderone, Steve Buscemi, and Abel Ferrara. He found all those guys on Miami Vice episodes because he used to direct Miami Vice, and he would, he saw those guys. Those guys were all in Miami Vice episodes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like I want to dig up the Miami Vice with Steve Buscemi on it. But
Right, right.
I think it's actually his very first movie too. Like, and it looks it like it
Oh, Steve Buscemi. Yeah, I think it is his first like feature length movie.
and his whole like vibe in the movie. It's almost like he's interning for like Run DMC or something. He's got on
Right,
like the pork pie hat and like the
right,
leather
right.
and like the chain. You're
With the
like, what's
chain.
happening here? Um, which is pretty great. But I was gonna say like getting back to like the King of New York vibe. Like so, Frank White gets out of prison and he like Max says he's dressed up in all black, like a black trench coat. He very much embodying the Batman persona. He
Right.
gets into a limousine, and the limousine is also important in this movie.
The limousine is its own character.
And it is. And I was thinking about this when we had talked about this previous too. Um, we said like the limousine shows up whenever he needs to get out of trouble. The,
Right,
the limousine shows up whenever he needs to like make a statement or intimidate or just let
right.
people know like Frank White's coming. But I was also thinking about this, and not to give anything away. And again, lost copy style. These movies are ancient. These are vintage cult classic movies.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
spoiler alerts, so I'm going to talk about the ending right now. So if you don't want to hear it, stop listening, I guess. But don't.
Well, let's set up the story first. So he gets out of prison, and the first thing he does, he starts wiping out his competition. He kills the Colombian guy in the phone booth, and then he has, Fishburne kills the other guy with the drug deal. That just when he opens up the suitcase and there's a bunch of tampons, and the guy's like, "What the fuck is this?" He's like, "It's for the bullet holes." He just starts blowing them away.
It's the bullet. That's
That
amazing.
scene's
Yeah, that's
crazy.
amazing.
And Frank White, he wants to like fund this hospital for this poor neighborhood.
Which nobody
So
knows about.
right. So he's kind of like a Robin Hood type character. He's doing good for the neighborhood, and and the way he looks at it, he's like his competition. Those guys were fucking losers anyway, and he's actually doing them a favor.
Yep. He's taking out the trash in every
Taking
single
out the
way.
trash.
Yep.
But the cops don't see it that way. They just see Frank White coming out of prison and having a bunch of people killed. So they're getting all pissed off. They don't realize like he's really kind of cleaning up the neighborhood, and he's going to fund this hospital, which is really good. But yet, the cops end up becoming almost like the bad guys because they go rogue.
That's what I was going to say. It's like he's cleaning up the neighborhood. They don't understand what he's doing because, again, they don't talk to the dude. They just show up
Right.
and try to bust him. And like,
Well, they try to bust him all the time. Remember, they take him for that fucking crazy car ride.
yeah, 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 and so like the cops are, corrupt. He's taken out all of his competition as much as he can. He's funding a hospital, and no one even really knows that he's doing that. And
Right.
and that's the whole like fairy tale. Like he literally is like the king in New York. Like I mean, like not to be like pedantic or anything. Like just like he's he's doing exactly what you would expect somebody in that position to do. And the cops are so awful in this movie. Like I mean, like almost like cartoonishly awful. But
Right.
the one point I wanted to make about about the limo, is the limo's all over the place, and it is its own character, and it like saves his ass. It shows up when it needs to, and the only time Frank gets into another car on his own that isn't the limousine, he dies in.
That's at the very end.
At the
He gets
very
in that
end.
cab.
And
Yeah.
it's just like, and I was thinking about that today, actually, before we got on to record, and I was like, man, like that's the only time he willingly get, like, because the other time they shove him in a car or whatever. I don't think that
He
counts.
shoved the cops
But
when they kind of like kidnap him pretty much, and they shove him in that car, and then they just like weaving out in and out through traffic, and they're driving like maniacs. It's like, holy crap, what the
they're
hell's
driving
going
like
on here?
maniacs, like for almost no, like I was when that
For
happens
no
in the
reason.
movie, you're like, what is going on? Like, why are
Right.
you're the cops? You don't have to drive
Right.
on the other side of the road. You're not getting away from anyone.
Right. Like, who's
You're not,
chasing you
no,
guys?
yeah, that's one of the funniest things in that movie. And also, like I said, like there was like those chase scenes happening late at night, New York City, on a bridge, no
Oh yeah.
traffic, no traffic.
That's that's kind of in the finale of the movie. That bridge, that chase scene on the bridge. And I read somewhere that they closed that bridge down for 2 days in a row, just so they could, 2 nights in a row, they just to film that scene.
They must have
Because
got
you notice there's no other cars on the bridge.
none. There's
Which
no
is
cars like in the vicinity. Like even when they're
right,
coming off the bridge, there's no
right,
cars anywhere, like on the block or anything. You know that there was some like really pissed off New Yorkers like, come on, man, I gotta work. Like,
right.
like, wrap it up, man. Um, so and that's my really bad New York accent there. But like, yeah, like this movie just gets crazier and crazier. Some of the funniest or coolest scenes, funny and cool, like because they're kind of like there's no way this would happen, but it's so cool how it's presented. And I'm gonna say like it's the subway scene, right? Like
Oh yeah.
he like Frank's at a party or he's at a dinner and he
And
gets
I guess he's got some sort of relationship with that chick lawyer,
yeah.
you know,
Yep, he sees some kind of
and
like she's like a prosecutor or something in the
she's
district attorney's
she's a
office or
defense
something.
attorney.
Yeah, yeah, she's a defense
And
attorney. I think she
when
worked for
they're at
him
the
before then.
restaurant, he's like, hey, you know what I want to do to you? I want to take you to the subway.
Yeah, he's like, I want to take you on a subway ride. And she's like,
Take you to the subway. So then
and
they're
he
on the
does.
subway, and he just like starts feeling her up and like opening up her jacket, and she's just kind of standing there at first. It's like kind of a weird sex scene.
It's a very weird sex scene because it takes place in public. standing
Right.
up with clothes on, except like she does have like her like boob pops out at some
Just
point.
hanging out.
And then as that's happening, they start to get mugged by three guys
The
who come
muggers
up.
show up,
The
you
muggers
know,
show up.
and they're like, they grab her purse, and then he flashes his piece, and then he offers him a job, and then throws him a wad of cash.
He shows them almost like a cartoonishly big, like 45 or something in his waistband.
Right?
It's
It's like just
giant.
in his belt.
Yeah, it's like a Desert Eagle or something. They didn't even exist then. It's like some 50 caliber like pistol
Right.
in his pants. And he's like, he just pulls it out, pulls his jacket open, and he's like, "Hey, go down to this building at
Go down to
yeah, so whatever building." And he's like,
whatever
"Tomorrow."
hotel.
Yeah, the hotel, and he throws him that wad of cash is like this, man. It's like an apple. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
he's like, he throws it at him, and that's like way more money than they thought that they were ever going to get mugging 400
Right.
people on the subway at once. Like, so that, and then like two scenes later, they're behind the dudes
Yeah.
in
You
the
notice
hotel
later in
room.
the movie,
Like,
those
it's
guys
so
are
cool,
muggers.
man.
So I
Like,
thought that was cool that they showed up later too.
yeah, and just
Can
like
we
in a little
can we talk
tidbit.
about Christopher Walken?
Well, I was gonna say one little tidbit about that scene is like that Harold Perrineau from Perrineau, I think is how you say it, from Lost, is like the lead thug mugger in that, and he's gone on to have like
Oh, no kidding.
a huge like acting career, and he's been in other movies and TV series and things like that. So I just thought that was kind of cool too. And
Okay. I didn't even
another
notice that.
person that Abel Ferrara gave a
Right.
job to
I
that
mean,
went
there's a
on to
ton
do
of
like
people
more and
in
more
this
stuff
movie,
like later. So cool stuff.
but it's actually it's classic Christopher Walken because you get Christopher Walken dancing, you get you get Christopher Walken when when he raises how when he raises his voice and like he's he was like, "You're welcome, you're all welcome."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love it when he does that, and just it's classic cadence, classic Walken cadence.
Oh yeah.
Even in the early scene when when Lawrence Fishburne first comes to see him,
Oh yeah.
and they're showing him all the money that they just ripped off, and he says that line. He's like, "Oh, you know how I love money." Yeah, yeah.
And the way he says it, he's like,
Just
I
the
love
way he
money.
says it, it's like so bizarre, but it's classic Walken cadence, and
And that scene in particular,
that's why it's always imitated.
well, that scene in particular too. So it's like all of these gangsters are showing up in this apartment, or Christopher Walken, actually, Frank White comes walking into an apartment where all of these thugs are partying after blowing away a whole gang. Like they beat this,
Right.
they shoot this dude in like a phone booth, then they go on like a little crime spree, and then they show up to like celebrate. And Frank walks in, and it's this weird standoff between Jimmy Jump, who's Lawrence Fishburne's character, and Frank White, and then it ends up being like, oh, they're just buddies,
Right.
and he's
They're
like,
just
oh,
good
I
buddies.
love money, and then they do like some like weird, like, not
But then
chant, but like
Walken,
some kind of like
at the end of
celebration,
that
like,
scene, remember he's like, "Now why didn't you come visit me in prison?"
oh
You
yeah,
know, and it
yeah,
kind of gets tense again.
oh yeah, it does, yeah. He's like, how come you never came to visit me in prison? And
Right.
Jimmy Jump, and this is his right hand man in this movie, and like all the way through, man, like Jimmy Jump has got Frank White's back, and he says one of the best lines of a henchman back to the boss ever, where he was like, "I didn't want to see you in a cage." Like,
Right. Who wants
like,
to see you in a cage, man?
and that resonated with Frank White. Like, yeah, okay, that's the only acceptable answer. Like, like,
Right.
and
Right.
because if I think he answered any other way, like,
I think it would
he
have
might
gone
have been
different.
it might have been an example right there.
And
Um,
Lawrence Fishburne, his performance. So we were seeing Christopher Walken looks like Batman. Lawrence Fishburne is the fucking Joker because
they're
his
together. Like if they were to working
right. If
together.
they
Yeah.
were together, if they joined forces. And because he is laughing hysterically throughout the whole movie. And none more so until like when he's dying, when he gets shot and
Yeah.
he starts just doing like just starts laughing and saying just kill me, but he can't stop laughing.
Yeah.
That is classic, Joker.
And it's classic Joker for sure. And it's also like one of those things. It's like Abel Ferrara kept that in the movie. He could have just said, "Hey, that's weird. Redo that," or whatever.
Right, like, hey Larry, what the hell are you doing?
And like he's like, "Love it." Like and it yeah, man. Like that's like one of those scenes where it's like there's a lot of stuff in here that like even suspending
Right,
belief. It's hard to,
but
but
his whole performance, if you
he's
look at
great.
it, he's
Like
playing the
Lawrence
Joker.
Fishburne, and I think you're the one that pointed this out. This is the first one where he goes as Lawrence Fishburne, right?
No, he
No,
goes as
it's
Larry in
Larry in
this.
this, right?
It's
Okay.
after this,
Oh
because
wow.
his next movie is What's Love Got to Do with It?
Yep.
And he's credited as Lawrence Fishburne in that, but he's Larry. It says Larry Fishburne in the credits for this, but
Oh.
I think after this, he's like, "Hey, that was pretty damn good. I'm gonna
Hey, hey, I'm an
now
actor.
it's Lawrence."
Yeah, but treat me with a little bit more respect. Um,
Right,
but this movie's great. He's great in it all the way through. Um, there are a lot of like just drugs and just rampant shooting, just spraying of bullets and
right,
stuff. There's a couple scenes where, and again, we talked about like the limousine being its own character. There's a couple
it's like the
scenes
Batmobile.
where like Frank or his henchmen or like even hench women, like there's one scene where this lady
Yeah,
jumps
he's
out
got
of
the
like
two girl bodyguards.
this she jumps out of the sunroof and she's just blowing people away. And then
Oh yeah,
eventually something you would never do, probably tactically. I'm not a warrior of any sort, but like she climbs out the top of the limousine, and then Lawrence Fishburne pops up and starts blowing people away as she's still killing people crawling down the limousine. But none of them get shot at all. And you know why? Because they're in the limo. If you're touching the
right.
limo, you're safe.
If you're near the limo, you're safe.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm also going to say too, if you're hanging outside the limo, you might get fire hydranted. Um,
Right.
because
Oh my God,
there's a crazy scene in this movie where the police
that is brutal.
decide that the only way to get Frank White is to act like a rival gang and to like put masks on and chuck the badges off to the side and go in there and just blow everybody away. And it goes horrendously,
Bad.
horrendously wrong for the cops. And it's bad for everybody, but like the cops are getting it the worst. And this one cop in particular gets married early in the movie and is in like a scuffle near the limo with Lawrence Fishburne, and like Lawrence Fishburne, Jimmy Jump, rips his mask off, rips the cop's mask off,
Oh, he's hanging on the door.
and he's hanging on the door.
Walken and Fishburne are escaping in the limo, and this young cop grabs the door, and he's hanging on the door, and they're dragging him down the street. And Fishburne pulls the mask off. He's like, "Oh my God, it's a cop!" And then Walken sees the fire hydrant.
Yep.
Watch this, and he just pulls the car over, and that kid face plants right in the
Oh,
fire. I mean, it's brutal the way they film it.
it's brutal the way they film it.
Caruso, and then they
And
show Caruso going, "No, no!"
yeah, and they show Jimmy Jump doing what? Laughing,
Laughing,
laughing.
laughing.
And who I want a little shout out to the Foley tech for that scene,
Oh
because like
yeah,
when he
the
gets
sound
dunked
effects.
on that fire hydrant, it's like
it's hard to listen to.
oh man, it is hard to listen to. And like and so the cops are all pissed off after that. And I think Caruso has some big soliloquy where he's like, "We got to get Frank White now. This is bullshit." Um,
Well, no, that's
oh no,
that.
that's the before they go and do that fake raid.
So then Caruso and Wesley Snipes they keep chasing after Frank White and Larry and Jimmy John or Jimmy
Another
Jump.
first person in the movie is Wesley Snipes because we forgot to mention him. I knew there was
That's right. We forgot about Wesley Snipes. Yeah, he's really young in this.
super young.
But then Larry Fishburne and Wesley Snipes have it out, and Wesley Snipes gets killed. Then Caruso comes in and shoots Jimmy Jump, and that's when he dies laughing. So then the next scene is Wesley Snipes' funeral. All right, remember?
Yep.
And Caruso has like a meltdown, and he can't handle it, and he runs to his car. And then all of a sudden, the limo comes in like Jaws, and it's like, oh shit.
So
and he pulls right up to Caruso, and the window on the limo goes down, and all you hear is, "Hey, you!" Next thing you know, you see a sawed-off shotgun to the face of Caruso.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just blood splatting
Brutal.
everywhere. Brutal. I mean, that scene is shocking.
Comes in like Jaws is the exact way to describe that limo. Slow rolling in, like, right. Dude, you can't do anything about this. And again, like, and in that scene, so they blow Caruso away with the sawed-off shotgun at a funeral. It's a little quiet, so you're gonna hear it. Oh, by the way, every single cop in New York is at this funeral. Yeah, because like it's all cops are dead in it. Like, right. So there's only one road out of the cemetery, and Frank White gets away. Like,
and he gets away. It's crazy. It's the limo.
It's the limo, man. Got some magic in it.
So after that, and we haven't even talked about Victor Argo yet.
Yep.
Because he's the head cop. And, there's scenes with him where he's just on the computer studying and popping pills and, he's drinking and he's kind of a fucked up character.
Oh, yeah.
But he's not very memorable. I think if they would have had a better actor in that role, I think it would have been, it would have been a little bit more memorable because no one even remembers Victor Argo in that movie. And he plays one of the most important cops in the movie.
Well, he plays the guy that gets Frank White.
He plays the guy that gets him at the end, but that should have been like Brian Dennehy.
Yeah, well, I could say that about so many different roles, but like it could have been like
if they didn't have the money for Dennehy, they could have got Ronnie Cox or something.
Robert Forster would have probably been
Forster, yeah,
would have been decent in that. But yeah, I agree. Like that's a great point too. That we like haven't talked about him. And also there's also this other crazy drug dealer in the movie too, Larry. And Larry's just like head of like the Asian Asian gang, and I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb in the 80s and say that they probably didn't like really like sync it up with like Japanese and Chinese and Korean. There's probably
I think they're Chinese because I think that massacre takes place in Chinatown.
Yeah. I'm just saying like casting didn't care what.
No, because
it's lazy. Anyway,
because some of the Asian gang, they look Mexican.
that 80s casting is just not
right
level, which is crazy too to say that because like the rest of the casting in this movie is amazing because they're all these like up and coming actors that really get a chance to kind of like chew on some lines and stuff like that. But like Larry is this character in this movie that like Frank White has to kind of strike a deal with. Like he's got all the cocaine. He's got 220 pounds of cocaine or something like that. And Frank White is like, I can move that. I want in on this, and so like they're setting up a deal with Larry and his gang to try to like, get.
But Larry, he sees Frank White as just a weirdo.
He's not enamored with Frank like everyone else is.
And honestly, Jason, if they came out with this movie today and they came out with the character of Frank White, people would say like, "Oh, that guy's on the spectrum."
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
he's, you know,
he's very solely focused on the things that he
right,
wants in life. Like,
right.
and
And I
if
think
people
Larry
die or
sees
fall out, he doesn't care.
Larry recognizes that and just thinks like, hey man, you're a weirdo. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah, he says that to him.
right.
Like, and and Frank's just like, oh well, come over here.
Yeah. Well then he remember they go on that tour through the hospital.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Where he's
Right.
like kind of explaining what he's doing, and that's when you first kind of realize like maybe Frank White isn't as he's got at least a redeeming quality,
Yeah.
which
But
is more than
but
everybody else in this entire movie.
he doesn't like the way Larry talks to him. So like the next scene is like, that's the Asian massacre scene.
Oh, yep.
And that scene is crazy. And then, whatever, I don't know what the hell happened. Larry kind of, he gets away, he runs down the alley, and then he's hiding behind the wall. And then someone comes running and he accidentally shoots him and it's his own guy. And then finally, then Fishburne sneaks up on him and they catch him. So then the next scene, they're taking Larry's shit out, all of his cocaine, and Larry is like hung upside down,
Yeah, like a
like
piece of
dead,
meat.
like a piece of meat.
And he's obviously dead at
I
that
just
point.
wonder if they if there was a scene in between there that they just cut,
They
you
they
know.
they might have because like it seems weird also too because like every other rival and even like minimal person like the dude that talks shit to like Walken where he's just like you're welcome,
Right,
you're welcome. That
right.
like that's guys like kind of like small potatoes compared to Larry. So like you would expect to see Larry's death, you know.
Right.
At least I did. Um, but like yeah, that's like a like he's like the one person that kind of halfway stands up to Frank. Um,
Right. No, because he just tells him flat to his face how he feels. Like, hey, I just think you're a weirdo. I really don't like dealing with you.
I know, and he's like, "Who else is there?" And he's like, "No,
Right.
because you
Right.
killed them all."
Right.
So like at the end of this movie too,
Yeah, the finale
so like yeah,
is
so I
is
was kind of
amazing.
like roll up like since we kind of covered a lot of the movie, like Frank is like um kind of like on the run because like the cops like or like he's on the run because he just blown away like Caruso's character. He's in the um
oh, okay. So when he goes to Victor Argo's house,
yes, and he goes to Victor
waiting for
Argo's
him there.
and he's sitting there and like and Victor Argo comes in and he's just like, you shouldn't have written all that stuff about me. You don't know the whole story kind of thing. And then he gives him basically like why don't you write about this, like the hospital, right? Doesn't he tell him about
Well, he tells him what he's doing. And
yeah,
he says, hey, I'm funding this fucking hospital that people need. And I'm getting rid of all the, guys that are, the drug dealers that are fucking everything up. The trash. I'm taking out the trash.
yeah, and
That's
he's like,
pretty
why
much what he's telling them.
he's like, why aren't you
And
writing
I don't
about
know
that?
why. I still don't know why he has no problem, like, killing Wesley Snipes and Caruso and all the other cops. Like, I don't know why he doesn't shoot Victor Argo right there, but he's basically giving him a chance.
I my take on why he doesn't shoot Victor Argo right there is because it's like he's the guy that gives the stories to the reporters, right? Like
Right.
this is the main detective that like filters his stuff to, you know, everybody to the media. And I feel like it's just kind of like there isn't a Robin Hood unless there's somebody to tell the story of Robin Hood, right? Like if you
That's a good point.
you're robbing
Right.
from the rich and giving to the poor, that's great. And if you don't want
It
any
doesn't do
credit
any good if no
for it,
one knows about it.
if you're like trying to apply for sainthood, then you don't talk about it, and like,
Right.
but like, Frank White is like, hey man, everybody thinks I'm some like gangster scumbag my whole life. Like, why don't you talk about the fact that like I'm wiping out
Well,
more
and that's
more
why.
of the scum, and why don't you talk about the hospital? And I think like that's kind of why he tries to let that dude live, and then that guy just can't let it go.
Well, that's really what sets Caruso off, is when he's watching the news and Frank is actually getting celebrated for funding that hospital.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because there is that news
And
blurb,
that's
like
when
real quick,
that's when
that they look
Caruso
up.
gives his speech at the bar.
Yep.
And Caruso gives his big speech at the bar, like, oh, there he goes. They're celebrating him, and we're sitting here, and I'm only making 35,000 a year, and he's getting all the fucking glory. And what are you gonna do about it? Well, that's when he tells Victor Argo, hey, we're gonna go fucking kill him,
Yep.
because we're sick of this. And
Yep.
they basically say what they're gonna do.
Yep. He's like, we're gonna be a rival
And
gang.
Victor
This is
Argo
gonna be
just
off
kind
the
of sits there
books.
and it's like, yeah. And then so the next scene is the is the big raid, and they got the hip hop music going. They got a
And,
shot of that city councilman. He's just shoveling cocaine in his
uh,
nose.
that's what I was gonna say. Like
You know,
the Mr. Coke knows who's the councilman, and also
yeah,
and while all of that is happening, the song that's playing is um I'm not, or it's like I'm black
Schooly
enough.
D.
Yeah, it's like,
I'm not black, or am I black enough?
am I black enough? Is what, and like,
Yeah.
and it's like just like all of these different like fun things to think about of like Frank White maybe being like the blackest person in the room, if you will, like in like reference to that song, meaning like, hey, I'm the hardest person in the room, and like
Right.
which is kind of what that song was entailing, and like it's just like all of these like different like ironies or like um things happening all at once, and that like scene, it just breaks loose, and like all hell breaks loose in that scene too. So um but yeah, like I love that song when it's playing in
Oh
the
yeah, that makes
very,
the whole scene.
yeah,
You
very
know,
very cool.
sets. I mean, it sets the vibe for the whole scene, and I think that's one of the most underrated action scenes of the '80s, or actually, or of '90s.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
because I think that's the best scene in the movie, and the music makes it. I think.
Yeah, the music makes it, and then like to go back to Victor Argo, like very, I don't know, like miss on the
He's the weak
performance.
link of the movie. He's
Yeah, miss on the performance, obviously for me, but the scene where he's trying to track down Frank White, and they kind of get in a standoff, and they shoot, and Victor Argo goes down, and he's gonna die, and then Frank White walks away, and he walks away on the walk of death.
the walk of death. You know,
You coined
because
that, but like,
yeah, I because it's first of all when he walks off the subway, he's got his jacket closed and his arms are folded, but you don't know that he's shot yet. But he looks like a fucking ghost. He's white, he's pale as a ghost, and he's walking through the streets. And he's got that 1,000-yard stare going on, and once he gets into the car, you kind of guess like, oh man, he might be shot, and then you see the blood, and it confirms it. And he just kind of sits there, and he has the gun. That cab driver pisses himself and runs out of the car, and but then all the cops were after him. They all start crawling in. You know what I mean?
oh,
And
and
it's
they
kind
have
of
that, and Abel
go
Ferrara
ahead.
has that really cool shot of like the
Yes.
overhead shot showing all of the police coming
Yeah,
in and descending
it's
on
an
that
awesome
guy.
shot, and it's
Yeah,
it's a great ending scene too. You know what I mean?
yep.
And um and it's cool to see like the big Howard Johnsons in the background.
Well,
Like,
and it's also cool too because like even though they're like pulling back, and it's got all the like like the Hojo sign in the back, and like all the cops like like going up and
Right.
like trying to protect themselves behind like rear view mirrors or whatever, like the side mirrors of
No,
the car. But
it's a
but
really
but it
it's a
also
cool
pulls
look.
all the
New
way
York's
back eventually and shows like the bridges and things like that. And it just kind of
oh
gives it
yeah.
that scope of like King of New York, like all of this was Frank White's. And there's another thing I want to point out too, like in the movie, he gets out and he's like, just give me a year. He keeps talking about like, just give me a year, like to do his thing.
He thinks that he could be completely legitimate in a year, you
Yep,
know, and if he can get this hospital going, he'll have the backing of the people. People will, they'll stand by him, and he can go completely legitimate.
yep.
And he thinks he can do it in a year.
And
You know,
it'll
that's
be that'll be his thing now is he'll own hospitals or he'll own things that
right,
benefit the community. And but he needs a year to sell 220 pounds of cocaine,
right,
ki-
yeah, right,
kill all of his competition, like
right.
not tell him to leave, kill them,
Pretty much
and
wiping him out,
and
and then
then
he's just got
look
to
how
sell
much
all that
better
cocaine, and then he's good.
this city will be. And
Right.
and like yeah, like I don't know, like and that's kind of like why like this movie resonates with me, resonates with you, Mac, like a lot of our friends and stuff. Um, just because it's like it's this like bizarre Robin Hood tale starring Christopher Walken.
Right.
And honestly, like I think it is one of his best performances.
Absolutely.
And
No,
and I
that's why.
and I do think like maybe less than a lot of his other films is that he I don't think he like does the walk-in cadence a lot in this movie as he does in a lot of like, oh wait, come
Right.
here, like he
There's other movies where he's doing it a lot more.
yes, and like
But
a lot
this
more.
movie though, he's there's a lot of times where he's just kind of staring, and it's like classic Walken, just facial expressions.
His eyes
His
carry
eyes are just they're
carry
I
a
mean they're
lot of
just
like weight
crazy.
in this movie. Like he
Right.
just even the background I have right there, that like dead fish,
Right. Look at his eyes.
kind of that dead fish, and even the gun holding behind you. He's not excited. He's not mad. He's not rageful. It's almost like he's like, this is something that has to be done. To your point, like maybe like on the spectrum style, like I'm not going to put a lot of emotion into this. This is just the thing that needs to be done. Blowing them away, recruiting these thugs, having some hanky panky on a subway. Like it's all
Right.
the same to him. It's all the same. It's the same level of interest. Um,
He's probably a sociopath, you know,
yeah,
like
because
he
there's
doesn't really have he doesn't understand real human emotion. Like if he'll see how other people act, and then he can kind of imitate that just to kind of fake it.
and I think like that might be why like the whole like if you were a sociopath but you didn't want to be and you wanted to be like everyone else,
Right.
wouldn't buying a hospital and trying to like help sick people, that might be
I
where you
think that
start,
he's
where
like
you
he's
where
looking
you
at it like this is the best way that I can help people,
this,
and that's what normal people like to do is help other people. I don't really feel that, but maybe if I do this, I can be normal like them.
maybe I will feel that or
Maybe I
like
will feel that.
yeah
Yeah,
this
maybe
or
he's searching for feeling.
this is how you do feel that. I don't know like but it's like like I think you made a good point, like it's the kind of like his way of like humanizing himself, not just being like, hey, I'm going to do something redeemable, but like I don't really know how to feel, so
Right.
this
Right.
like if I do something that I know other people have strong feelings for, like maybe that's close enough, kind of thing.
Right. No,
So
I think people care about hospitals, and he even says like it's not fair that poor people or people that live in poor neighborhoods don't have access to a decent hospital.
yeah, it's like I mean, it is kind of it's just like one of those fascinating things about this movie where like he's this ruthless dude, um, and nobody really has a beat on him. He has like super loyal people to him, and in the end,
Those two chick bodyguards, I mean, they die for him.
yeah.
That one takes a bullet for him.
So does Jimmy
She
Jump.
pushes
Like,
him
I
out of the
mean,
way, and she jumps in front of the bullet. Which,
Jimmy Jump dies for him. Like a lot of
oh
people like
yeah,
go down. Like his whole crew like basically goes down to the wire for him, and including those new dudes. I think those new dudes get blown away in the raid thing too, because not everybody lives. Um,
yeah. No, I don't think anybody lives.
but what I'll say is like love King of New York. If you get a chance to see it, check it out.
It's on Tubi.
It's on Tubi. A lot of our favorites seem to pop up on Tubi. Feel free to.
And all those Miami Vice episodes are on Tubi.
I was gonna say, feel free to sponsor us, Tubi. We'd love that. Um,
Oh yeah,
and
we love Tubi.
I would say this too. Like just some like to kind of put a bow on King of New York. Like we do like the Lost Copy creep factor. I think the creep factor in this is pretty much everywhere. Like Christopher
Oh
Walken.
yeah,
A lot of the gangsters in this are creepy. Even sometimes the limo rolling up,
the limo is
a little
creepy.
bit creepy. Um, Larry's creepy. Uh,
Yeah,
so like creep factor is pretty high on King of New York. There's a lot of like that guy in King of New York too. You'll see some like character actors that pop up everywhere. Victor Argo being one of them. Um, and
uh,
and I think this is like a really cool movie as far as like there are just a lot of like good up and coming actors that get their first chance in this. Like you said, like Wesley Snipes, Buscemi, um, Giancarlo Esposito. Like there's just
Paul
so
Calderon.
Calderon, uh, Caruso. We named them all at the start, but like it's awesome. Like they just keep popping up in the movie, and you're like,
Right.
dude, what? This guy's in here too? What? Steve Buscemi
Yeah.
looks like he's part of Run DMC. Um,
Yeah, it's
and,
crazy to see Buscemi in there, like
and,
wearing that hat and like cutting up that cocaine and
and I think it's just like cool that like like you said, like this is probably my favorite Abel Ferrara movie too. There's Bad Lieutenant. He's got a bunch out there. Um, but this is like fun. It's got the hip hop music, precursor to like New Jack City. So if you like New Jack City, I bet you like this movie. Uh,
yeah. And New Jack City came out like 6 months after this
yep, yep, and with Wesley Snipes.
with Wesley Snipes. Yeah.
Um, and like so I can't say enough about that. But I think that's this Lost Copy episode for King of New York. I know Mac's going to be joining me for some more episodes. We've got a lot of episodes coming up in the hopper. Uh,
Can't
so,
wait.
so check us out. We're on
Gotta show off my
Spotify.
walking t-shirt.
Yeah, the Fear the Walking.
Fear the
Um,
walking.
Excellent. And like I said, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and soon we'll be posting out on TikTok as well. So check it out, Lost Copy Podcast. Again, that's Mac. I'm Jason, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.